James, son of Alphaeus, is frequently portrayed in art holding a fuller's club, which reflects the church's belief that he was the same James as the Just. However, the tradition that claims James, son of Alphaeus, preached in Egypt believes he was crucified in the city of Ostrakhan. St. Jude is also called Judas, Thaddeus, or Lebbeus. The canonical letter of Jude, which forbids the licentious and blasphemous heretics, is attributed to him as its purported author. In the latter half of the 18th century, devotion to him as the patron saint of hopeless causes spread to France and Germany. In order to avoid confusion with the betrayer of Jesus, Judas Iscariot, St. Jude is described in John 14:22 as Judas but not Iscariot. In fact, it is likely that the tradition of calling him Jude rather than the scriptural Judas began to prevent such misunderstandings. Jude is thought to have died a martyr's death in Syria while on a missionary journey with Simon the Zealot. Because this tradition is based on an account from the dubious and legendary-filled book Acts of Simon and Jude, it is unclear how trustworthy it is. This they ran upon the apostles and hewed them to death anon, and that same hour which was right fair weather, came so great thunder and lightning that the temple was smitten in three. Simon the Zealot. He is referred to as the Cananean or Cananios in the Gospels of Mark and Matthew, which is frequently misunderstood to mean from Cana or from a Canaan. Luke refers to him as the Zealot in both Acts and his Gospel, and Cananios is the Greek transliteration of the Aramaic word Gan-Anaya. It appears that the titles were an effort to set him apart from the apostle Saint Simon Peter. He is not mentioned anywhere else in the New Testament. He is said to have preached the gospel in Egypt before joining the apostle St. Judas in Persia. The earliest records of Simon the Zealot's death didn't appear until centuries after his passing, despite the fact that there are many accounts of his death. Like many of the apostles, it can be challenging to determine which tradition, if any, can be relied upon. In the kingdom of Iberia, according to Moses of Corine's account from the 5th century. According to the Golden Legend, he was crucified in Persia in 65 AD. Ethiopian Christians think Samaria is where he was crucified. According to a different account, he was crucified in Britain in 61 AD. Justus Lipsius in the 16th century claimed he was sawed in half, which is often symbolized in art. According to Eastern legend, he passed away in Edessa from old age. Judas Iscariot. Judas Iscariot is the only apostle whose demise is mentioned in the Bible aside from James. Judas, however, wasn't a martyr like James. He betrayed Jesus and then killed himself. It's interesting to note that the Bible provides two different accounts of Judas's demise. The Gospel of Matthew and the Book of Acts contain accounts of Judas's death. According to Matthew, Judas hanged himself immediately after. The chief priests refused to take their money back, so Judas threw the money into the temple and left. Then he went away and hanged himself. After that, the chief priests spent the cash on a field, which Matthew relates to Zechariah and Jeremiah's prophecies. The chief priests picked up the coins and said, "It is against the law to put this into the treasury, since it is blood money." So they decided to use the money to buy the potter's field as a burial place for foreigners. Whereas Acts, traditionally attributed to St. Luke, gives a different account. With the payment he received for his wickedness, Judas bought a field. There he fell headlong, his body burst open, and all his intestines spilled out. Everyone in Jerusalem heard about this, so they called that field in their language Ekodama, that is, field of blood. Luke's accounts of Judas's death doesn't necessarily counter Matthew's. He might simply be referring to what transpired after Judas hanged himself. However, the question remains of who purchased the field, Judas or the chief priests.